Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Elliot Moser, the Superintendent of Schools for the Glendale-River Hills School District. I'd like to welcome you to today's community chat. With us are the Glendale-River Hills School District administrators. And we're here to answer any questions or to hear any comments that parents or the community may have. If time permits, in the next half an hour, I may call upon administrators if they have anything they'd like to share with the community on exciting things that are happening in their schools, or to share any good news about what's happening in the Glendale-River Hills schools prior to our spring break that is coming up shortly. So with that little introduction, are there any questions that or comments that any parents or community members have at this time? Estrida, do you want to go ahead?
Sure. You gave a little teaser at the board meeting that the summer program might be different this summer. Is that something that there's any more information on that?
Sure, I'd be happy to, and I'll start, and then Dr. Smith, who is the true expert on the summer academy, can help me out. But what we would like to do this summer is to make the summer academy available to even more students, and we'd like to expand the opportunities for summer school. And one of the items we're going to propose to the school board tomorrow, in fact, is that it will be the summer academy will not have any fees attached to it. That the students can register for it at no cost. The classes will be enrichment. They will be recreational. They will be remedial, the whole gamut of opportunities. We're hoping to have a lunch and breakfast service, possibly busing for the students this summer. And this is, we're also hoping or planning to pay for all this through, and I hope I am getting it right, the American Rescue Act, President Biden's um, um, COVID-19 bill that just passed, that it has been stated that the purpose of that all the school districts in the nation will be receiving money to assist students and teachers as a result of the pandemic. And we intend to try to take advantage of that. Now, Dr. Smith is doing her homework to find out if all these dreams can come true. But we're going ahead and planning to expand our summer school accordingly. And Dr. Smith, do you want to add anything?
No, I think you did a wonderful job.
I was going to make a smart remark, like I would never tease anyone. I decided not to do that. So I'm hoping that the school board will react well tomorrow to our presentation. Dr. Smith will be heading up the Summer Academy, summer school. She is a veteran, has done this for many years, knows how to run the program. We are looking at, when we finish up with the summer school, it'll be followed by a program sponsored by Nicolay, the Nicolay Rec Department. Mr. Beckman has been in communication with the Nicolay Rec Department on how that can be handled. It'll be at Glen Hills, as will the summer school be at Glen Hills. So I hope that helps. Does that help?
Yes, thank you. That's helpful.
It'll be for, Dr. Smith, it's 4-year-olds through 7th grade based on their previous school year.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. Any other questions that? I'm going to pick on Mr. Beckman right now. I like keeping Mr. Beckman awake over there. That's anything exciting in the world of buildings and grounds you'd like to raise at this time?
Well, I think that our just kind of a recap of the last 2 weeks. I think the administrators, the building administrators, have done a super job on their scheduling. My staff has been just great in keeping things moving and sanitizing and disinfecting and the different lunch hours and hopefully getting to everybody's needs as they require them. It's been, I think, a fairly smooth rollout. The drop off and pickup has settled into a really nice routine, at least at Glen Hills. I am involved in that most days, and I'm sorry I haven't been at Parkway, but that's that. We are working on hiring some summer people, looking for summer people, summer college kids for the summer. I need a couple more. Other than that, I'm just very pleased at how the last 2 weeks has gone, and kind of looking forward to a short vacation next week.
One item maybe you could comment on, Mr. Beckman, in the school board reopening of school budget, they authorized the hiring of an additional, yes. You want to comment on that?
Sure, thank you, Dr. Mosier. We did hire a second shift custodian because I moved one of my second shift to first shift to accommodate day cleaning and disinfecting. So we were able to hire a second shift custodian, and he will start next Monday, the 29th. So we'll be back to a full complement on second shift at Glen Hills and give us a lot of flexibility. I was very happy the school board approved that, and it's something that we've actually needed before COVID, and we are able to make it happen. So thank you, Dr. Mosier, for helping me there, and the school board for letting us add that position to my staff. A big help, big plus.
Well, good. Does anyone have any questions or comments for Mr. Beckman? I appreciate that update, Mr. Beckman.
You bet. Thank you, Dr. Mosier.
Ms. Young, could you give us a little update on how things are going at Glen Hills Middle School?
Yes, I'd be happy to. I have to say, it brought my heart a lot of joy today to walk around to classrooms and walk in and have kids be so engaged in their learning that they barely notice they have a visitor. It was really incredible to see. Our teachers have had additional training in their opportunities to learn about concurrent teaching. And so they have been applying some of the strategies that they have learned last week, Friday, and developing a little action research around that too, to get some input from students to be able to see whether or not the attempts that they're making at creating community are working for students. So we're excited about learning from our practice in that way. Additionally, we were running a virtual in-person concurrent learning classroom within the building in 7th grade. The feedback that we got from teachers and from students and families was that it just wasn't quite working. So we were able to leverage our learning lab space upstairs and welcome students into that larger space so that they can be with their assigned teacher. I checked in with students. This was their first day of conducting learning that way, and students felt very positive about it. So I'm looking forward to the outcomes of that as well. And I appreciate all of our families for being patient during pickup and drop off, and hope that you can continue to do so we keep a safe space for our students outside. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions or comments for Principal Young? We shouldn't let you off that easy, Principal Young. It's too easy. There are no questions for you.
I think Amanda has a
Go
question.
ahead. I see Amanda's got her hand up. Amanda, go ahead.
Thank you so much. I have a student who's remained virtual, and I appreciate that she is able to do that. My question is, well, first of all, I want to say thank you, especially to the PE staff for running the special opportunity at Glen Hills for roller skating. When I shared that with my child, her face lit up in a way I haven't seen in a year. And I appreciated that it was on the Friday, and that there's more opportunities for that. So thank you so much to the wonderful PE staff for making that happen. And I wanted to know, is there anything else like that in the works, which would be an opportunity for the virtual students to gather on those days, or gather not with the large body of students there?
I do know that there are various clubs and activities. So I know Ms. Malcolm is working with a small group of students on the 8th grade mural project, as well as Yearbook has been meeting in smaller groups. I believe Ms. Woodward is also offering a chamber orchestra opportunity. So as we move into spring and I think teachers get a handle on the familiarity around those things, I'm hoping that maybe some chess club and some other things might have some opportunities to meet on site for that. So we definitely are talking about ways that we can engage students in those ways, because we know that we want to just kind of be able to offer some of those in-person opportunities to our students who are learning virtually in ways that are smaller and safer.
Thank you so much.
If I can just speak to that on the Parkway side as well, in case we have any parents who are interested. Here at Parkway, we are also designing some opportunities for students to be involved, both those in person and virtually, either after school or on those Fridays. And so I know Dr. Smith is hosting a kickball group and a games group. I know that our health secretary, Ms. Zena, who created the artwork behind me, is going to host an art camp. I'm hosting a space camp on Friday. So there are a number of opportunities that I think, are starting to be available in both schools. And we put that out to our staff as well, because I know folks are interested in offering things.
Good.
If I may just add as well, I think one of the unique things related to the after school programming and this opportunity for our students to participate in some of these recreational activities is we've also tried really hard to ensure that there wasn't a cost or a fee associated for our students to be able to participate. And also in a recent newsletter that I put out to staff, I also asked the staff if they had any additional opportunities of activities or classes that they would like to offer as well. So I think that's really nice too. Again, just ensuring that people have access to and are able to participate in some of these fun courses and recreational activities.
Very good, thank you. Ms. Umar, did you say that Dr. Smith is the head kickball person at Parkway? And is going
Yes,
to be
she
leading?
is. So for those second and third graders who would like to sign up for that particular course, Dr. Smith will be running kickball all week in a couple of weeks.
I
may
promise
have
I'll try
watch
to-
that or see that, or even, I don't know. That's good. Good, Dr. Smith.
I promise I'll try to play fair. I love kickball.
All right, that's good. Excellent. That's all right. Anyone else have any questions at this time before I call on any other? I'm going to call on Miss Westfall. Miss Westfall, there you are. There's a lot of discussion going on these days about testing. Now, there are different types of testing. One is testing for COVID-19. And I'm not going to talk about that right now, even though that is an important part of our reopening of schools, is the health and safety and well-being of our children, our staff, faculty, administrators. But Ms. Westfall, can you talk to us about academic testing that's going to be coming up in the Glendale-River Hills School District?
Sure. So most recently, we are mandated by the state and the federal government to do the forward testing for our students in 3rd through 8th grade. One of the contingencies of this test is that it has to be given in person. So that's not a district choice. That's the manufacturers of the test company that we have to do it in person. So we sent out a survey recently for all our virtual learners to try to get some information around whether they'd be able to do an in-person testing. And we're trying to disaggregate the data just to come up with a safety plan to make sure that we have our students who are virtual learners spread out across the building and make sure that we have enough staff members who are going to support students in that testing environment. So we're working on that virtual learners plan after we gather the rest of the information from the surveys. The rest of the students who are in person will be testing during the mornings, during their normal school times. So we'll be doing that in the week of April, starting April 13th with our in-person learners. And we're looking at April 9th for 4th and 8th grade, along with April 16th. And then on April 16th, we'll be doing 5th, 6th, and 7th. And then along with 3rd grade is a little different because they're going to be doing half days. This is their first time doing this testing. So they'll be doing half days on the 9th and the 16th. So we have a lot of pieces happening, and we're just making sure that we're keeping all the kids safe and giving them, you know, a good learning environment to take this exam in.
Very good, that's very helpful. Tracy, you have a question.
Oh, yes, you know me, I always have questions.
Sure. That's okay.
So I have a few questions. The first one is actually about the testing. All 3 of my GRH students are remaining virtual, and I'm just wondering about the possibility. Is it possible to maintain like a 6-foot distance for the virtual kids coming in for testing? That is okay. I thought probably that was okay. So that was my one question. Another question is that I have noticed for my Parkway students that on Friday, they have 2 of the 4 allied arts per week. And so I have Miss Grace missing the librarian and the music teacher one week, and then Felicity missing the art teacher and the gym teacher the other week, so on and so forth. I'm wondering if we're at a starting point, or if we're going to end up getting all 4 of those allied arts on a weekly basis like we were before the model change, or if that's maybe not possible. And then lastly, for Miss Young, I'm just wondering I feel like my 8th grader is a little bit disconnected since the switch over. And so I'm trying to kind of brainstorm ways to make this kind of more positive for her. And I'm wondering if it would be possible. I know that it might be some work for the teachers, but I'm wondering if it's possible to have, like, it seems like what teachers are reaching out to me when something's going awry, instead of like, I wonder if there's a way we can do like a week of positive affirmations and what is really working instead of what is falling through. She is kind of touch and go with her homework and so on and so forth. And she always comes through at the end of the day, but it ends up being a little struggle. And so I'm wondering if there is a way to kind of add a more positive spin, I guess, on communication between the teachers and the 8th graders and the teachers and the parents. I would love to be able to come up to her and be like, look at all these successes, but I don't kind of have that communication loop. It's more of a communication loop that's revolved about, oh, we're missing this, we're missing that, so on and so forth. And so I'm just kind of looking at if there's a possibility to do kind of like a positive affirmations, kind of a centered additive or something to that matter. And lastly, I'm looking at all of you guys, and you guys are just absolute superheroes. All of this work is no small feat, and you really, really need to just be so very proud of yourself and all the hard work that you are doing. You guys are just incredible. That's all.
Thank you very much. And let me try to see if we can answer those questions. We'll start with Ms. Westfall. Can we start with you with the question on testing?
Yes, for testing, absolutely. We'll be able to utilize all the mitigation strategies and ensure that students will be 6 feet, if not more so. It's a very small population that is coming in, and this is a very large building. And then also, because we are testing on Friday, those will be the only students in the building. And then also for Parkway as well, it's only 3rd grade. So it'll be, I think it's like 17 students that will be coming into Parkway on that day. So we do have a small population of students coming in and a lot of support with our staff members.
Thank you. Tracy, your second question, was that aimed at Parkway?
That was a question about the allied arts and if we'll be picking up so that we're at all 4 on Friday, or if it's kind of a scheduling thing. Right now it's alternating weeks. So I have two on one week and then the other 2 on the next week. And so I'm just wondering if there would be a change to that plan in the foreseeable future.
I can speak to that. I actually had the opportunity to meet with some of our allied arts teachers earlier today and earlier in the week. And they're a really creative group of folks and always brainstorming ways that they can improve for students. And so right now, I think for the Fridays, students in general, students attend Monday through Thursday, and they only need to attend on Friday for those allied arts. And the allied arts teachers are really having some good conversations about the balance between like interest and engagement and even attendance, right, for those Fridays to begin with. And so they're brainstorming ways to take a look. Right now, it's still scheduled to have 2 allied arts every Friday. But I do know that our programs are always in development and always brainstorming ways to improve for kids. I know that one thing that was really popular during the virtual learning, the only virtual learning model, was the Friday Fun Zooms. And so that's something that we received a lot of good feedback on. So we are still in conversation with folks and continuing to take feedback. So I will bring your suggestions to the table.
Thank you very much. Tracy, your third question was aimed at Glen Hills?
Yes, positive affirmations for our, I'm seeing it a little bit in the 8th grade. I just feel like it's kind of I'm alerted for the negative, but I'm not alerted to the awesomeness. And I really would like to be able to bring a positive spin to her kind of perception on the change.
Ms. Young, any response?
Yeah, and I would say a lot of the auto-generated components around missing assignments come out from Infinite Campus as well as Google Classroom as a way to kind of mass communicate that. I would really encourage Tracy for you to reach out to your teachers in 8th grade and speak with them directly and talk with them about the fact that you're needing that right now for your daughter. And I am sure that they would be happy to help support that.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I did think of just one other question that we kind of found out about this morning, which is that we had a substitute scheduled for the 1st grade that changed. And I would love to know more about this new teacher that we'll have on Monday. We just met her today. And if you have anything to say about this for the 1st grade virtual section, I would appreciate it. She seemed very lovely. And it was nice to see you, Dr. Smith, this morning.
I was going to say, I was on with you this morning as I introduced our new teacher. So yes, she is coming to us from previous virtual teaching background and experiences, working with a couple of schools in the Milwaukee public school system. And for those of you that do have 1st grade virtual learners, originally we had Miss Carrie Scarlatta, who was going to be moving into that position. And Miss Scarlatta is also on a leave at this time. So we did end up hiring a new individual. Amanda Moley is her name. She's also going to be sending out a personal letter to all the virtual 1st grade families, introducing herself and talking a little bit about her background and her experiences. The nice thing is that we were able to secure her for today, tomorrow, and Thursday. So she's going to spend the next 3 days having opportunities to interact and observe the students in Mrs. Schassel's current classroom setting, virtual classroom setting. So hopefully that'll be a really nice and smooth transition, and that the kids will already be familiar with her as we move into the week after spring break. But please, as always, feel free to call me, and I'd be happy to address any further questions that you may have, or feel free to reach right out to Miss Moley, and she'd be happy to help address questions too.
You got it. The kids were very excited. They wanted to know all her favorite colors and animals and what to eat and all that jazz. So I thought I'd see what I could find out.
Very good. Thank you. Nicole, do you have a question?
Hi. Yeah, I just wanted to also just echo what Tracy was saying. I've just been so impressed with how you guys have rolled out everything. It's been so smooth and lovely and welcoming for parents and kids. And I'm very grateful for that. So thank you for everyone's hard work.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You guys are welcome. And then also Ms. Zumar, I appreciate your after school programs. That's amazing. My question was more, I think, for Mrs. Westfall, if you were talking about the testing. I have a 3rd grader, and I have considered opting her out of the testing, but my concern is a financial implication in regards to federal dollars for the school and school district. Is that something you could speak to more about?
There currently was a waiver put in for that, but we're not going to have information on that, not by the district, but through the state was put in a waiver for that. So we don't know if that's going to go through or not go through. So there could possibly be an implication for it. But I don't think, as of right now, looking at my surveys and looking at, the possible opt-outs, we're not in a position where we would get dinged, financially at this point. So
and is that something, if that situation changes, is there a way to be communicating that to parents?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so is that something I should just like look for like in the Thursday folder or like letters home, or?
It would be in the district newsletter.
Okay.
That would come out. So I think that would be probably the best place to put it, around forward testing. So I'll be sending out more information on forward testing through that in the next newsletter as well.
Okay,
so
thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Good. Thank you. Justin, do you have a comment or question?
Hi, my name is Justin Rodriguez, and I had a question about the lunch. I think so. I just first wanted to say thank you for providing the free lunch to all the students. But secondly, I wanted to say that I have a child who is very rigid. And so we've noticed on a few occasions that there's been changes on the menu after the menu had been put forward for both breakfast and lunch. And I just wanted to communicate that I would just, I'd like to see if we could do a better job revising the schedule ahead of the lunchtime, or I guess communicating to the cafeteria firm that they should stick to the schedule as much as possible.
Your comments are very timely, Mr. Rodriguez. We did have the opportunity as administrators to meet with Airmark, who is our lunch service and lunch company. And that was one of the things that we also expressed as administrators, just how important it is that when they're publicly advertising their calendar for lunch by days, that's actually what we're having on that given day. I know earlier this year in one of my Parkway Family Panther presses, I asked families if they could partner with us to help explain to their students what it is that we're having on a daily basis, making that process more efficient and a little bit quicker when the students come to school and have to select between the two lunch choice options, whether it's the deli or the hot lunch. And families have been doing a really nice job of prompting the students and reviewing the calendar. And then when it doesn't happen, or that is not one of the selections that students get to select from, the students do become a little disappointed by that or a little sad by that. So we did reiterate that to the lunch company yesterday. So I just want you to know that that was something that was discussed.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr.
Mr. Rodriguez, you're going to find the administrators agree with you 100% on that point, because they, as Dr. Smith said, that was an important point that we had yesterday in our meeting with the food service company. So thank you.
Thank you. And I just had one other question. I was very excited to hear about the kickball activity that would be available in the future to second and third graders. I also have a first grader at Parkway as well. And I was wondering what opportunities do you think will be available for first graders?
That is a wonderful question. Mrs. Umar and I were actually just talking about that. We were talking about last summer, I had the opportunity to step into some of the virtual summer academy courses. And there was one that really resonated with me, which was called Book Cooks. And it was that opportunity to read some stories and then to serve like a little snack based on the content of the story. And that was something I thought was really cool. We also talked about a dance party theme and playing music and allowing the kids to get some of those wiggles out after school. So we do have some ideas in the works for the younger students. We certainly have not forgotten about them. That's a great question.
Thanks
Thank
a lot,
you.
and thanks for your hard work.
Good. Chris Lucas.
Hi, first I'd like to say thank you to all the wonderful staff at Glen Hills who are working very hard to make this work. My first question, I have three, like Tracy. I'll try to be organized here. My first question is also that I have an 8th grader and he's quite disconnected, more so now with the concurrent teaching. So it doesn't bother him quite as much as it bothers me. But I was wondering if, first of all, if track will be offered for 8th graders, because that's a wonderful social opportunity that could be done in a safe way. And following that, if how are students at Glen Hills social distancing once they walk out of your doors? Are you observing how the students are treating those social distance measures that you've set in place within the school? Are they carrying them out with them? I mean, are they following some of those guidelines? Because I'd be interested in signing my son up for track if the student body was, behaving in a responsible way with social distancing. Second question is for, I guess, maybe Jenica. The testing, we'll be doing the testing on April 9th and 16th. I'm wondering if there's a schedule set in place where the asynchronous work, usually students are getting a bunch of work Fridays. will it be balanced so that those students who are testing on the 9th and 16th won't be overloaded on the weekends so that they can maybe do the work while the others are testing? Oh, I see you nodding. Thank you so much. And third, what is the communication with Nicolay right now when you find out or when you know from your teachers, since virtual teaching is much slower in covering ground than face-to-face? Are there communications with Nicolay in place? Are those lines of communication in place so as to communicate maybe some standards that would have normally been met, say in 8th grade, are not being met? I mean, I know we don't want to say that out loud, but we know that there were some things even before virtual education that weren't getting met in, say, the mathematics. But for like math and ELA, are we in communication with Nicolay saying, you know, you're going to have a batch of 8th graders coming in who maybe haven't written this type of paper or didn't get through those 8th grade standards of math? Are those lines in place? Thank you.
Let me start with Ms. Young on the question dealing with track, and then we'll go to Ms. Westfall.
I would love to jump in and just also just to be cognizant of the fact that I have to dash soon for dismissal. So I want to, I believe my understanding based on the partner districts and the sports that we offer is that sports were canceled for the spring. If that's the understanding that I had, is that they made that call earlier this year. I don't know if there's been any talk of revisiting that, but I certainly would think that there are some possibilities now, but I will double check with our athletic director, Mike Birmingham, on that. In terms of, remind me again of your other question that you had regarding Glen Hills Beyond Track.
I had 2 questions. Well, the social distancing, how are students managing those social distancing? But that was connected to the track.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of social distancing, I mean, I can monitor and enforce social distancing where possible in the building throughout the school day. I can't necessarily monitor how students social distance once they leave our doors. Our students get onto a bus when they leave here, and they get into a car with their families when they leave. So what they do beyond that time, I don't have any insights onto in terms of what families are doing. And
I was just wondering about the milling about in the front area, because that's always been pretty visible.
There's no students.
You know, like our students.
Yeah, after school,
Yeah.
I let you know that at the end of the school day, there is usually about 2 kids that wait, and by 3:15, everybody is gone.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Thank you. Ms. Westphal.
Hi, Chris. So when you spoke about asynchronous instruction, what we're going to end up doing is kind of a flip-flop. So the students who are in person, who are testing in person, are going to be doing, you know, that asynchronous Friday. And then our students who are testing on that Friday will have their asynchronous work during the in-person testing.
Okay.
So we're kind of running a flip-flop. So everyone has the same amount of asynchronous learning going on, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then what was your other question?
It was regarding lines of communication with Nicolay regarding what standards might be. Yeah.
Yes. So the articulated classes do meet. So they meet every, well, they do meet quarterly. So Nicolay runs on quarters and semesters. So they do meet quarterly. So they are going through kind of where they're at in those articulated classes specific to social studies, mathematics, and world language. And we are really leaning on the work that came out from DPI on priority standards. So we're really focusing in on priority standards for both math and ELA.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
As we move along here, because we're going to run out of time, Carrie, can I call on you?
Yes, thank you so much. I just quick shout out to Miss Young for just her openness and willing to communicate with me and answer some questions I had a few weeks ago, and just shout out to the Glen Hill staff and how awesome they've been. I have 2 questions and I'll try to make them succinct and quick. My first question is, what is the update on the VIP virtual in-person for 6th and 7th grade? My understanding is that that might be changing and a little bit, and my apologies if you answered this already. I jumped on a little bit late. So what is the update on VIP learning for 6th and 7th grade, specifically 7th grade? And then my second question is, just why are kids in 7th grade not sitting at lunch with people in their cohort? So the kids who are rotating from class to class, why are they not sitting with those kids when they go to lunch? Those are my two questions.
Okay, Ms. Young, can you help me?
Sure, I can. The changes to the virtual in-person learners I did cover earlier. They were moved into the larger learning lab space, which has the ability to hold a larger number of students in a space where they can be distanced, following guidelines. Also, it's a new space, so it has new ventilation in it. So I talked with Mr. Beckman about that in terms of making those spaces available to our students so that teachers are moving into that space with students rather than students moving into the classroom space. So that was a way that we could work around with one larger group that we have to accommodate learning where teachers would have access to all students in that space. We still have a teacher assigned in that space to help facilitate the chat and to help facilitate those learners within the room and also the virtual learners as well, so that the teacher who is teaching is able to kind of keep up with the communication for both. In terms of the groups that are sitting together, our students are cohorted most of the day. So they move from group to group. There are exceptions to that, and those exceptions include those students who have some specialty classes that are not part of a strict cohort. Also, when students go to allied arts and when they go to their music classes or physical education classes, they do not remain in a cohort. So there's only so much cohorting that can happen during the day. When we spoke with the North Shore Health Department, our advice was to keep kids at a consistent table so that if there is a need to contact trace back with students at a table, that we have students at an assigned table, which we do. So no, they're not sitting by cohort at lunch, but they are at an assigned table, and we maintain an electronic database. So if anything needs to be updated in those seats, that we can do so and take a look at where students were sitting in order to be able to effectively contact, trace, and quarantine if needed.
Good.
Wait, wait. So why are they not sitting with people at lunch that they're cohorted with for their subject area classes? I'm not understanding that.
Because there's only so much cohorting we can do, and students go out for recess and then they come in. So we have them coming in into that space and they're sitting with an assigned group. The necessity to cohort them all day long and not have them mix up at all isn't going to be a possibility. They're coming up for recess and we need to get them into their assigned seats. So we're not cohorting them during that lunch period.
Okay, Ms. Young, thank you. Carrie, thank you. Tracy, this may have to be our last question, so go right ahead.
Just a quick follow-up. I would like to know if for the summer school program that's currently in the works, will there be a virtual option for that program or a concurrently virtual running stream for that program? And then are we considering I heard it mentioned before, the VIP that we're considering for the 6th and 7th grade. Is that something that we are possibly considering also for the 8th grade? I'm okay.
Yeah, I'll let Ms. Young do the question aimed at Glen Hills, and then I'll take the summer school one.
Yes, the VIP classroom was used at the 7th grade because we have such large numbers, and we had a request for 75% of our students to return back to the building. In order to accommodate that number of students, we had our section sizes were too large, and so we created a room in which students were learning in person but concurrently, and that was not working for our students, so we created another room. In 6th grade, that's handled a little bit differently. Those students are maximizing some spaces in the library, as well as also utilizing space within another classroom where another class is going on. That would not be done in 8th grade. 8th grade has a small class, and we only had about 55% of our students want to return to in-person learning in 8th grade. So our class sizes are incredibly small in 8th grade. So that will not be an option that will be considered there.
Thank you.
Yep.
Now, Tracy, to your question about summer school, right now, the answer is no, we are not planning on a virtual component to summer school. That doesn't mean that may not change, but our initial plans that summer school will be in person at Glen Hills. So I hope that answers the question. We will talk about that though, Tracy, and we'll see how that fits in with the total program. Well, I want to thank everyone. Administrators, thank you for building time into your day to talk with the parents and community. I think that's extremely helpful that you make yourselves available. Parents, community members, it's always good to have you come and talk with us. Helps us know what is happening in the community and what is being discussed. And we will do more of these community chats. And again, thank you to everyone. And remember, tomorrow we have two school board members, a curriculum committee meeting at 4:30. And there are some important topics there. And then the school board is going to be meeting at 6 to talk about the superintendent search. So everyone have a good afternoon and good evening. It's good to have everyone come together and work on behalf of our children and the Glendale-River Hills School District. Have a good evening.